Gwe, Jalasi, hello and welcome. Thank you all for joining us as we commemorate the third annual National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. Deluisi Julie Pellisier Lush. My name is Julie. I am a proud Mi'kmaq woman of Abequit. I wear many hats, as many of you well know, and I am humbled to be your MC today. I would like to welcome the Honorable Antoinette Perry, Lieutenant Governor of Prince Edward Island, the Honorable Dennis King, Premier of Prince Edward Island, Chief Junior Gould of Abequit First Nation, and Chief Darlene Bernard of Lennox Island First Nation, Elder Jim Bernard, and a special welcome to Elder and residential school survivor Marlene Thomas, who has joined us here today. Together, we acknowledge that the land upon which we gather is unceded Mi'kmaq territory. Abequit, Prince Edward Island, is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. For all islanders, today is significant as we are gathered here to commemorate and remember the devastating impacts of Indian residential school, Indian day schools, and other associated sites. We pay tribute to those innocent children who needlessly lost their lives, and we honor the survivors of those schools, their families and community who continue to feel the effects. Today is a day of solemn reflection. For our Indigenous families who are grieving, may this day bring you some healing. For our allies, may your journey to learn more about the truth of what happened at residential schools be strengthened. Let me just say it warms my heart to see so many people here today wearing orange shirts. Our event will begin with a song, followed by an opening prayer from Captain Elder Jim Bernard. Premier King, Chief Gould will deliver remarks, followed by Elder and residential school survivor Marlene Thomas, who will share a part of her story with us here today. At noon, we will pause for a moment of reflection for 1 minute, along with all islanders. Following the 1 minute of silence, Her Honor Antoinette Perry, Premier King, Chief Bernard, and Chief Gould will be invited to come forward to lower the flags. After this, there will be a brief photo opportunity, and then we will close the ceremony, and our representatives will be available to the media at that time. And now I would like the drum group to start with our opening honor song, please. Wilalio, thank you so much. Now I'd like to invite Captain Jimmy Bernard to come forward to offer us an opening prayer today.
Weldasi, and Kamalamun. It warms my heart to see all the people out here. I was asked to come out here to say the Mi'kmaq prayer, and I will start. Nunchinan wa so eben, Jeptik Dalawasan, Megadedaman wa so Delta nen, Jeptik Eganamuinen willa numalek willadis nen na de wa so a kick, Dali Skidaski, Jeptik Elp Nanin, Dali Sujlek, Mugamagik, Imeg, Dala Mood Negalisamiego, Hopshanagis Gisku, Dala Mood Gutch, Biganamuin, Nanunal, Dalia Bitsik Dokok Jit, Waigai Willamit Dabanig, Ilp Gale Niskam, Dalia Bitsik Duin, Elaway Wiltiek, Winjigo, Gowe, Jigaladwin, Na, Diliach. Thank you.
Wilalin, thank you, Captain. You always know how to start us off in a really good way. We appreciate your knowledge and your wisdom being shared with us to start this beautiful event. I would like to now invite Premier King to speak on behalf of the government of Prince Edward Island. Premier King.
Thank you, Julie. Good morning, bonjour, Quay, Your Honor, Chief Gould, Chief Bernard, elders, Marie, Captain Jim, members of Parliament, senators, mayors, community leaders, my colleagues from the provincial legislature, and Islanders one and all. Thank you so very much for joining us here today to recognize National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. Also known as Orange Shirt Day, it's a day for Islanders to reflect on the painful impacts of residential schools and the continuing effects on Indigenous peoples and communities across our country. Today, as has been said, is a day to learn about the history of residential schools, to listen to the stories of survivors, and acknowledge the ongoing impacts of the discrimination that took place here in our region and in all regions across the country. And I'm reminded of the words that a Mi'kmaq elder told me one day in Lennox Island. For all of you Islanders and Canadians who thinks these stories are hard to hear, can you imagine for a second living it? And that's what Marie will share with us later today. As the Minister responsible for Indigenous relations, I assure you my government will continue to work with the Indigenous communities and organizations by being allies and by making sure the work towards reconciliation continues. In order to have reconciliation, we must first start with truth. And the truth comes from listening, it comes from learning, it comes from reflecting, and that is essentially what today is all about. Once we learn, we better understand, and once we acknowledge the wrongdoing of our past, we can move forward towards the pathway of reconciliation. And over the last number of years, we've tried hard to do just that. We've done a lot of listening, we've done a lot of learning, and that has provided the government with an opportunity to take meaningful action towards reconciliation. Prince Edward Island, I'm proud to say, was the first province to mark National Day of Truth and Reconciliation as a statutory holiday, an initiative that was brought forward by my friend, Senator Brian Francis. Recently, our government signed a historic agreement with the PEI First Nations for a housing project in Hillsborough Park in Charlottetown. It shows our commitment toward reconciliation while working with the PEI Mi'kmaq on housing and economic development in this province. And just this week, we launched the creation of the Geographic Naming Advisory Program, an action that originates from Chief Gould's request to rename Savage Harbor so that this community can begin the healing process. Chief Gould, I want to say again, I thank you for your leadership, and I look forward to working with you on this initiative and so many others, along with Chief Bernard in the days and weeks ahead. I would again say that today is important. And like many of you, I've been part of groups where conversations, large and small, of groups large and small, where a question inevitably gets asked or a comment gets made that says something to the terms of, "This happened long before I was born, I didn't do that, why do I have to be accountable?" And to that I say the reality is that we are all accountable, because that is the duty that we inherit as the fortunate citizens of a just and caring society. And though the perpetrators of past injustices are gone, they have left us with their responsibility, with our responsibility to deal with the past. And in the process of doing so, it provides us an opportunity to make a better today on the pathway to a more fair and prosperous and better tomorrow. In a few moments, we will observe a solemn moment of reflection as the clock turns to 12 noon and mark the transition from morning to afternoon as a symbolic transition from truth to reconciliation. During this moment of silence, it provides each of us, each islander, with the opportunity to reflect on what we can do individually and collectively to support reconciliation, to understand the truth, because better reconciliation isn't just the responsibility of one person, of one First Nation, of one premier or one government. It's the responsibility of us all. It takes us all collectively working together to move forward together, and I am convinced if we continue to do so and reflect within, reflect as part of a broader society, we will do just that. I want to thank all of you for making the time to be here today, for wearing orange, and let us continue to support the Indigenous people of this province working toward a better tomorrow. Thank you. Walalik.
Well, and thank you, Premier King, for those heartfelt words. I would now like to invite Chief Gould to come forward and offer his remarks on behalf of the Mi'kmaq. Chief Gould.
I'll start my timer. Great. Hello, everyone. Pat. First of all, I'd like to speak to, see one of my elders sitting in the front row. So I'd like to speak to our people first. This is Mi'kma'ki, Doreen. This is my dad's territory. This is our territory. My father always told me back in the day that it's not his story. He stole it from somewhere else, and I love it, so I'm going to share it with you. He said, the little boy looked up to his father and he said, "Dad, the eagles are flying around our community again. There's hope for our people." The wise elder looked down at his son and said, "No, the eagles were always flying. Our people stopped looking for them." I think that's very profound and intergenerational as part of the healing process. Truth and reconciliation starts with us. It can also end with us if we stop speaking, if we stop sharing my father's story, if we judge one another harshly based on what we were taught and how to treat each other, to assimilate ourselves internally, that the churches and the government had passed down to us as intergenerational trauma. Stop talking about intergenerational trauma and start implementing intergenerational healing. To my fellow islanders and to the premier that stands by, I hate having my back to you. I apologize. But to the islanders, this man sat with me in the corner when I first met him, and he pulled me in and he shook hands. And this is what my dad taught me. You cannot change an institution. You can change a government if you don't believe in the people. Always believe in the person, the individual. He whispered to me, he said, "Chief Gould, we can do a better job." I believed him in 2019. and I still believe them today. As a result of what we are doing here, Chief Bernard and I, and our community as a First Nation, taking the responsibility to keep the story alive, keep pushing the issues, find out who we are as a people and how that works with the province of Prince Edward Island. Prince Edward Island has come a long way, and I've done it numerous times. PEI is doing well. We can do better, but you're doing well. One of the metrics is that intergenerational healing is what's passed on to our children. Give them the tools to do a better job than we have done, and your future is guaranteed to be better than we have experienced as parents. There's a young softball team representing Prince Edward Island, the Whitecaps team. The coach is somebody that I grew up with, and he had his opinion of me and I of him. But it was through sports, but we had a camaraderie and we shared that bond, and that was the focus. In that shared bond, he wanted to make a difference with his team. He has a non-Aboriginal team, not one First Nation person on the team that wears the orange shirt. Each child knows, there's one on the team, sorry Ella, there is one on the team. But each child on that team, they know our story. They know their true orange shirt story in that. And they traveled around the Maritimes, and I'm proud to say that they were approached by First Nations from mainland and said, why are you guys wearing the orange shirt? And they knew our story, and the First Nation, our people were proud that a non-Indigenous person knew the story. So I get all these questions now, what do I do this weekend? What can I do? What do I do in part of the Truth and Reconciliation? You've already done enough by asking me. Find it in your heart what it means to be a Canadian citizen. Find it in your heart what it is to be an Islander. I walked through the Superstore yesterday, and I was the only one with an orange shirt in there. I told Ellen we were going in. The place was crowded. And I found an Islander with an orange shirt, and I focused in on her. I said, can I take a selfie with you? She's a typical Islander. Yep. We took a selfie, and I posted it. And a lot of our community knew her. Miko, where are you? What was her name again? Janice. And she just took the picture. She went on her way. But that's what it's about, 2 Islanders. It wasn't the chief, and I don't even know her name at the time. It was 2 random Islanders doing their part to make a difference for our children, and that's what it's all about. So I'd like to thank Prince Edward Island, the government, for taking the initiative and taking the lead in Canada as doing what's right for truth and reconciliation. It's one thing for government platitudes to do it. It's another thing to implement them. Senator Brian Francis went above and beyond, and this Premier has gone above and beyond. On behalf of the Mi'kmaq in our territory of Epikowit, Walalio.
Walaland, thank you, Chief Gould. It's always nice to hear you speak from the heart. And now I would like to invite elder and residential school survivor Marlene Thomas to come forward and share a part of her story with us today. Marlene?
Good morning. It's so humbling to see you all here. My name is Marlene Thomas, and I am a survivor, second generation. My mother was a survivor. I'm not sure about my grandma, but I guess we could find out. But anyway, I'm here to talk about, I know people say get over it. If this was you, would you get over it? I don't think so. If the role was different, was reversed, you would know all the pain that we've been through. I also want to talk about the truth and reconciliation. It starts with the truth and then reconciliation. I'm not really sure what it looks like, except for I think you all coming together means a lot. It means a lot to our Indigenous people that have gone to the residential school or day school or 60s school. It was done in such a bad way that we need to come to terms with that. And for me, it's all about forgiveness. I want to say, for me, I forgive, and so when I forgive, I leave room for love. And that's done me a great deal. I am so happy that I'm able to forgive. And that's what I want for everybody, to start looking at what has been done, what is going to be done, what can we do for you, what you can do for us. We can work together. We can live together. This is where it comes in, where I feel the love from all of you, and I give you my love. Thank you. Msitnogama.
Well, Alan, thank you so much, Marlene, for sharing your personal story and shedding some light on the experiences of survivors while also paying tribute to your resilience. We are so honored that you could be here today. It is now 12 noon. The sun is transitioning from morning to afternoon. We will reflect and come together in the spirit of healing and the promise of better days ahead. We must take time to look, listen, learn the hard truths that have been hidden for far, far too long. Let us use this day for all islanders to reflect and understand these truths so that we can all move forward together. Now I would ask that everybody think, observe, and give your mind a chance for all of these thoughts as we observe our 1 minute of silence. Walalan. And now I would like to ask Her Honor, Premier King, Chief Bernard, and Chief Gould to come forward to their respective flag poles and join together in the lowering of our flags. Now for those wishing to take photos of this, please do so. Walaliag. Thank you all for coming and joining and participating in today's National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. The official party will now be available for the media. This brings our commemoration to a close, and I am so humbled to have been a part of this important day. Unsit Nogama, all my relations. Thank you.